part of the Press Play Podcast Network.
All right, here we are, episode 3 of the Fanfare Podcast. And this podcast is gaining traction. It's a slow burn, but it's gaining traction. Here with me, JD Hyman, host of the Hyman Podcast and the Press Play Podcast Network. My name is Chase Smith. I host the Chase Smith Podcast and Cavs on the Break. JD, what's up, man?
Nothing much, hanging in here, just living my best life. And as he said, I'm JD Hyman, host of the Hyman Podcast. I hope you guys have been listening. We've had some great episodes and got a lot of great stuff coming down the pipes. I'm really excited about where this podcast is headed.
Me too.
And I'm excited where this podcast is headed.
I am too. But before we do, you are living your best life. Last episode, we just hit on it and we didn't talk about it a lot. Tell me about Bargain Bachelors, man. Like, I would love them to be a sponsor of the Fanfare Podcast. Let's do it, dude. Tell us about Bargain Bachelors, JD.
Okay, so we had this crazy idea that we could go to Goodwill and buy random stuff and then sell it and make a profit. And it is just taken off. I'd rather do this than like my actual job. But,
oh my gosh.
I got to pay the bills. But it's like treasure hunting, dude. It's like legit treasure hunting.
I bet it is a pretty big thrill when you find something for cheap that you could turn around and sell real quick. Where can we, I mean, so you said how do we find Bargain Bachelors? How do we find you guys online?
Right now, we're just on YouTube, so just search at Bargain Bachelors. We are trying to get some other social set up right now, but for now, just at Bargain Bachelors, and you can find our store on eBay, the Bargain Bachelor Pad.
Awesome. Make sure to check that out if you're looking for some good deals. Well, here's the deal for episode 3 of the Fanfare Podcast. Steve Carell's birthday was Wednesday, August 16th, and as we were looking at the schedule and what we want to do to try to fill this gap between Oppenheimer with the Prestige and Halloween in October, which we have a lot scheduled for that. We figured, why not do a movie about Steve Carell? JD, is it fair to say he's the face of a generation? Is it fair to say that for Steve Carell?
I would absolutely say that. Yeah, he's definitely face of a generation.
You know, I don't think that's hyperbole. He kind of came on the scene right along when the internet was becoming the internet. And he got to start a second set. I just want to kind of go through his career really quick before we get to, we're going to be talking about the movie Crazy Stupid Love and all of its flaws and all of its stereotypical awfulnesses. I have a phrase.
I cannot wait to dab into this movie.
I can't either. Yeah, and all of its superficial stereotypes and flaws. We're going to talk about Crazy Stupid Love in a moment, but let me just talk about Steve Carell's career. Second City. He was a correspondent on the Tonight Show with with Jon Stewart, The Daily Show with Jon Stewart. Sorry, and that was just kind of like a next step from Second City. Bruce Almighty in 2003 he played Evan, which he went on to star in his own Bruce Almighty movie. Anchorman, his big breakout in 2004. But then of course The Office. He was Michael Scott in 2005. 9-time Emmy nominee, JD, and then successfully made the jump to the movies. I want to ask, what is Steve Carell's defining role for you? For
me, gosh, I want to say Anchorman because I feel like that film kind of came out right. It came out at the exact right time. And I was in college when that came out, and I remember people at school kind of dressing up as the cast for Halloween. I just thought that was a pretty interesting film and their take on the news. And I think it's really interesting him being in that movie and then being in the morning show, which is like opposite end of the spectrum.
Yeah, well, he played like an Anchorman in Bruce Almighty, right? And he kind of had this Brick Tamling character for The Daily Show with Jon Stewart. But okay, so 2004 Anchorman, 2005 The Office, 2005 The 40-Year-Old Virgin, 2006 Little Miss Sunshine. That is a 2-year run that just kind of launched his career. That has been incredibly successful, incredibly lucrative. This dude has made a crap ton of money, JD. So you have The Office. It's in syndication. One of the last I think that show was one of the biggest shows that NBC had, and then its life on Netflix, which kind of helped Netflix become Netflix. And I mean, just the stories behind The Office that launched 1,000 memes, and just the quintessential aughts comedy right there, The Office. But then you have his movie career, Despicable Me, which has just launched other like trilogies and spinoffs and video game. I mean, pretty much helped build Pixar. I'm not like, well, no, Illumination. Sorry, not Pixar. Illumination. This whole other
Lunar Studios.
And
but how many people do you know who have like successfully jumped from like film to television or television to film and have just skyrocketed?
Yeah, I mean, 9-time Emmy nominee. He hasn't won. He had an Oscar nominee for Foxcatcher 2014, but then he made the jump to dramatic movies, right? With Big Short, Battle of the Sexes, Vice. He's done it all. JD, I don't know off the top of my head. Jennifer Aniston's, I think, has been, I would say, probably successful. She's had a long career, movies, started in Friends, and then all the rom-coms, and that's about it. But she's still making movies, I guess.
I mean, she's doing okay for herself, but not like Steve Carell. Not like Steve Carell.
He has been successful. He has done very, very well. And this movie that we're talking about is Crazy Stupid Love. Came out in 2011. We wanted to commemorate his career to feature one of his movies. This is the Fanfare podcast about movies. If you want to talk about his TV shows, which is pretty much just The Office. What you mentioned the morning show. Do you watch the morning show?
Yes, I think it was probably one of my favorite Apple TV originals.
Yeah.
Have you seen it?
Yeah, we watched the first season. Pretty triggering for me for a lot of reasons.
Way triggering. But they do it so well.
It tries so hard to be dramatic. Like it almost tries too hard. And I'm not a fan
especially
of
when you have three like really strong comedy actors in there. And I will say Jennifer Aniston's role in that show drives me insane.
We started the second season, but the second season starts with COVID, I think, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, and we started it. We're like, nope, too close. Nope.
Wait, does the first season end with COVID? No, it doesn't.
No, the second one starts with like an empty New York City.
Yeah, it starts with COVID. But like her character in that show is just, I don't know. She is so whiny. I can't take it. I can't take it.
I wish we could unpack that as your favorite Apple TV original because they have some great content.
They do.
I'm big fan of Apple TV Plus. So okay, yeah, I don't. He's made the jump from comedy to drama very well. He seems, I don't know. It's just a very important actor, JD, for our generation, and wanted to talk about him in this movie. We will be talking about spoilers on Crazy Stupid Love, JD. Before we get to your synopsis, which is one of my favorite parts of the pod, do you have it? You're about to say something.
The Way Back. Have you seen that?
I have not. No, it's on my list here. I have not seen it.
Oh my gosh. Okay, I'm taking it back. Anchorman is off the radar. The Way Back is one of my favorite films.
Oh, and Little Miss Sunshine also is an excellent movie. I mean, we could have done any one of these movies. I'm a big fan of Date Night, which we'll talk about here when we get to Crazy Stupid Love. Dinner for Schmucks with Paul Rudd is very funny. Yes. I haven't watched it in a while, but it's ridiculous. He Gets Smart with Anne Hathaway. I mean, that's prime Hathaway in 2008. That was a fun movie. I mean, it's just a list here of just awesome stuff.
If you haven't seen The Way Back, I'm definitely recommending that movie. That's a really great film. It's got Allison Janney's in it. Mm-hmm. What's that girl's name?
I haven't seen it, sorry, but it is on my list here of things that he's been in.
Maya Rudolph's in it.
Love Maya Rudolph.
It's a good movie.
Steve Carell, I think his defining role with everyone has got to be The Office. You mentioned Anchorman. I remember him first from Anchorman. I loved Anchorman. I think it's one of the most brilliant comedies. It's just Will Ferrell at his absolute peak. Steve Carell, I mean, and the supporting, it's just great. And he came on and people loved his character, Brick Tamlin. And I think just kind of paved the way for everything. But The Office was so popular, and then had the second life on Netflix, that I think that's just the automatic go-to of Steve Carell, which rightfully so.
I mean, it's one of those shows that just, if you need to binge something,
yeah,
you can binge The Office. Like, that's like when you think about binging a show, that's kind of the first thing you think about.
I think it's our generation Seinfeld.
Oh, for sure. Without a doubt.
Seinfeld and all of its accomplishments and how famed and glorified that is. I think The Office is just as, like, I don't think, Jade, I think our age is maybe the last generation that cares about Seinfeld, if we even do. And I think everyone else, either our age or under, is just like, Seinfeld is so ancient. Give me The Office all day, every day.
Yeah,
I don't care.
I mean, Seinfeld was like on the cusp of. We were like on the cusp of that. Like, we kind of caught the tail end of it, but it wasn't. It wasn't made for us. The Office was definitely made for us in that respect.
And I think even The Office helped ushered in a whole new style of comedy. Like, as much as what Judd Apatow with 40-Year-Old Virgin, all that with Anchorman was doing for comedy in the movies, The Office was redefining comedy in the TV space. And now you have all these other like multi-cutaway cam. I mean, The Office with oh my gosh, he did Parks and Rec. He did The Good Place. Michael Schur.
Oh, yeah.
Dude, Michael Schur, Office, Parks and Rec. He did The Good Place, and just kind of all these like other multicam cutaways that The Office kind of started.
It created its own style.
It did.
That a lot of people have just jumped on and have been like Abbott Elementary, like same situation, and just skyrocketed.
Which, who kind of paved the way for that cutaway? I'm going to talk about what is happening.
Who?
Seinfeld. We started it in each episode with like what was going on.
I need to rewatch that.
Anyway, this isn't a show about TV, although that was fun. JD, we're here to talk about Crazy Stupid Love 2011, Steve Carell. We will be talking about spoilers. If you haven't seen this movie, we do want to say it is flawed. It is superficial. There are stereotypes. It is flawed. But we're going to talk about that movie today. We're going to talk about spoilers. This has been the lowest rated Letterboxd movie so far, JD, at 3.6 stars out of 5.
Really?
And without further ado, JD.
Okay.
The floor is yours.
Crazy Stupid Love is a 2011 American romantic comedy that was written by Dan Fogelman and directed by Glenn Ficarra and John Requa. Its all-star cast includes Steve Carell, Ryan Gosling, Julianne Moore, Emma Stone, John Carroll Lynch, Marissa Tomei, and Kevin Bacon. It was produced by Steve Carell and Denise Denovi, distributed by Warner Brothers Pictures, and made its theatrical debut on July 29, 2011. Against a $50 million budget, the film brought in a whopping $145 million at the box office. It received mixed but generally good reviews, with many critics noting the film not actually living up to its title. While it didn't score any Academy Awards, it received 22 nominations from various awards, winning 4 of those, including 2 People's Choice Awards for Favorite Actress and Favorite Comedic Actress, going to Emma Stone, and the Teen Choice Award for Choice Movie Actress for Comedy, also going to Emma Stone. The film maintains a 79% score on Rotten Tomatoes and a 7.4 user rating on IMDb. The film centers around Cal Weaver, portrayed by Steve Carell, who's living the typical American dream. Good job, beautiful house, great children, and a wife, Emily, portrayed by Julianne Moore. But Cal's seemingly perfect life unravels when Emily reveals that she's had an affair and wants a divorce. Attempting to navigate the dating scene in the most unsuccessful fashion, Cal meets Jacob Palmer, portrayed by Ryan Gosling, a young, wealthy playboy who takes him under his wing and teaches him how to hit it with the ladies. Jacob, for all intents and purposes, is living his best life until he meets his match, the young, freshly graduated law student, Hannah, played by Emma Stone. Emily realizes she's still in love with her husband, and with Cal on a quest to win his wife back, things take a turn for the crazy and stupid for Cal and Emily, and Jacob and Hannah, when Emily learns that one of Cal's conquests turns out to be his son's teacher, and Jacob finally meets Hannah's family. From Carousel Productions and Adobe Pictures, this is Crazy Stupid Love.
You're the best, dude. You are absolutely the best. That is incredible. JD, what's your relationship to this movie?
Okay. I immediately knew the plot twist right from the beginning.
What?
I knew the plot twist right from the when they first mentioned Nana.
Yeah.
I immediately knew.
Yeah.
And the only reason I knew, I think they gave it away with her boyfriend or fiance when he was calling her like Hannah Banana or something.
Yeah.
And as soon
Josh
as he
Groban,
said that,
by the way, ate up every scene, every line. It was amazing. We'll talk about Grubbs in a bit.
As soon as he said it, I knew immediately what was going to happen. Now, I will say, Marissa Tomei, the teacher situation, that did catch me by surprise.
Yes. Yes. Oh my gosh. Well, when Leslie and I watched this in theaters, we were just like flabbergasted and shocked, like audible gasp in the theater when all of the plot lines kind of come together. I'm not a fan of like all the plot lines merging movies. I think it's a trope. It's something that I just not a fan of, but how this does it, totally took everyone in our theater by surprise. It was a ton of fun. And it was just such an incredible experience. A way different experience watching it now. But we were all the way in on Carell with rom-coms after Date Night with Tina Fey. We loved that movie.
Yeah.
It was hilarious. It was funny. And we still quote lines from Date Night and Crazy Stupid Love in our marriage and our relationship. So we watched it. We bought it on DVD, JD. We bought this on DVD. And I haven't watched it for a long time. And one night, about a year ago, I think we have the digital as well somehow. Started playing it, and it did not age well. And
it did not.
With a couple of the objectifying women thing and refusing no, he like doesn't allow them to say no sometimes. Steve Carell mentions like this homophobic slur. He calls something gay, and it's just it's hasn't really aged well. This whole Ryan Gosling's like, we take what we want, don't take no for an answer. We pick up girls, let's sleep with them, and kind of this whole like, be mean if they're not interesting. The absolute worst. Which I think the movie is aware that it's bad.
I don't know if it's aware if it's that bad. I think it just did not age. It didn't age well. Like, I'm getting ready to do the John Hughes stuff.
Uh-huh.
And so I was rewatching 16 Candles.
Yeah.
And I am like, I cannot believe the stuff they are saying in these movies.
Yeah.
So I am not at all shocked that, well, I was at the time of watching this film, but I'm like, okay, so when did this become not okay?
Yeah.
In movies.
This might be one of the last movies that could get away with some of these lines and plots. 2011 is pretty late, man.
Yeah.
And so this is kind of like at the very end of what could be accepted. And we're not even talking about the weird, like, babysitter young, like, statutory plot line. That's,
oh my gosh,
very uncomfortable.
Those pictures, I'm like, what?
Very uncomfortable. Very
Dude,
uncomfortable.
I lost it. I lost it. I was like, this is insanity.
Well,
Like, she's like, here's some pictures. This will hold you over until like you're older. And I'm like, oh my gosh.
well, the movie does a good job of the first 3 minutes kind of knocking you to let you know, hey, this is going to be a crazy movie. The babysitter walks in on like the son pleasuring himself.
Yeah.
So it's all just right out of the gate, like, oh, this movie is not afraid to go places that you don't really want to go.
And it wasn't just that, it was his reaction to it afterwards. Like,
Oh, yeah.
he was just like so calm about it. Like,
But I was doing it to you, like the most
Yes,
uncomfortable
like-
response to that, like the most unnatural.
I was thinking of you the whole time. I'm like, what?
Yeah. Yeah. So as awkward and as uncomfortable as this movie is now, it's still a very entertaining movie, JD. Why is this movie so entertaining?
It's funny for one thing,
It's very
and the characters are just so awkward, and they do it so well. Although I will say, I don't really understand why Kevin Bacon is in this movie. However, you know, I get it, but I think they could have done without Kevin Bacon in this movie.
Oh, I disagree.
I think it just
David Lindhagen might be the best villain bad name. Like, you just automatically hate a guy named David It's fun to say. It's fun
But
to
I
hate
think
David Lindhagen.
I think you could have done it. I think they could have did it without even having the character in the film. I think they could have just used the name. The name alone, strikes all of that. I don't think they had to have Kevin Bacon in there, like just adding his 2 cents. And I think it took away from the David Lindhagen. I think it took away from his character a little bit just from having him speak.
Well, so okay. First, I don't think Kevin Bacon makes any movie bad. Like, if Kevin Bacon could be filled with this movie and play like in 5 scenes and just, well, because and also he matches everyone's charm and like everyone's genuine in the movie. Like, everyone is fairly like sincere, and the scenes with him, with Steve Carell and Julianne Moore's son, the scenes with him and Julianne Moore at the copy, like, they're genuine. He's a nice guy, other than sleeping with someone's wife. He's not like this like jerk or like, I don't know.
Just a homewrecker, you know.
And so I think his charm and his genuineness is as much as it could be. I think it fits. And I think when you see him, you're like, oh, okay, yeah, Kevin Bacon. Julian, I could see someone like falling for Kevin Bacon. I mean, he's a good looking guy. This movie is not shy about good looking guys, JD. And
no, it is
you
not.
could see how all these other girls at the bar could fall for Ryan Gosling, who looks the way he does, talks the way he does, and as confident as he is.
It's Ryan Gosling, dude.
It is, yeah. So, all right, let's talk about the supporting cast, because it is, it is stacked. It is stacked. Steve Carell, we talked about. Ryan Gosling, all right. Kind of had this like childhood of entertainment. He's done all sorts of stuff. Came on the scene in 2004, The Notebook. Well, Remember the Titans, sorry, 2000. But really kind of like took a lead in The Notebook in 2004. And then 2011, he had Drive, Crazy Stupid Love, and The Ides of March, opposite of George Clooney. If Crazy Stupid Love is about Steve Carell rediscovering his manhood, JD, Crazy Stupid Love is about the world rediscovering Ryan Gosling. What an incredible performance by Ryan Gosling in this movie.
Yes, absolutely. Even though I will say The Ides of March is probably one of my favorite films too.
I've not seen it.
Oh my gosh. Face. It's like you are missing out on like all these good movies. I don't even get it right now.
Have you
Like,
seen
who are
Drive?
you? Yes.
Drive is great. Gosling and Carey Mulligan. We quote that ironically. I drive like all the time. Like it's, but if Harrison Ford, we talked about Raiders of the Lost Ark as like the coolest cats from the 80s, Gosling has got to be like one of the coolest like actors right now. Just like coolness drips out of every pore of his body in this movie.
And he
some
doesn't
for the
even
wrong
try.
reasons. Some for the wrong reasons, and the movie like glorifies that, but it's super cool.
Yeah. I mean, he doesn't try that hard. He's just himself.
Yeah. And I think what makes it endearing is the scene with him and Emma Stone, like when they fall in love, like when she does go to him and they do go back to his place. Gosling is so sensitive and endearing and not like a jerk that a lot of these.
Yeah, he's definitely not his character in the bar.
But he is. You see why he's that way at the bar when they're laughing in bed and talking about how many fancy chairs, how many times he sat in his $5,000 chair, or like what all he has, like that.
But you see him he's letting his guard down.
Yes.
And he's not doing that in the bar. He is making it about them in the bar.
Yeah.
And then Emma Stone, she kind of turns the tables on him.
But I think that,
and I don't even think she does it on purpose. I think it just happens naturally.
Well, because she's a lot like her dad. In the movie. But I think that's why because he's kind of repulsive when he's like, we're just going to treat women as what we want, take what we want. But it's when the movie flips and it's Steve Carell doing that, and all of a sudden he has like this stability and he's like, hey, I found someone that I really, really love. I need some help. I need some pointers, and I don't know who else to talk to than you. Like that kind of vulnerability it was just an incredible performance by Gosling. And that's just the tip of the iceberg. JD.
I mean, he like sends the one lady away. He's like, all right, fancy pants, let's go back. Like,
yeah, fancy pants. Yeah, totally ripped. And I mean, yeah, I don't know what else to say other than that was just, he almost steals the movie.
I think Emma Stone's reaction to him taking his shirt off was like probably one of the funniest things in the entire movie. Like,
yeah. Oh, come on. Yeah. 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 Does he steal the movie? Does Ryan Gosling steal the movie from Steve Carell?
A little bit. He does.
I kind of think so too. I kind of think he does.
Yeah, he kind of does. He kind of does. I mean, you can tell he's like supporting, but like, he kind of, yeah. I'm going to go ahead and say he steals the movie.
I think for someone to be that brash and much of like a womanizer the first half to gain sympathy and like, I'm rooting for you in the second half, I think it's hard to do.
Right.
Yeah,
I mean, I don't think Steve Carell's character changes all that much. I think he just changes clothes.
Yeah,
but you see like a really dramatic change.
Yeah.
In Ryan Gosling's character.
Yeah,
like that's like development. His character is like fully developed by the end of this thing. I think Steve Carell just changes clothes, like, and he just like has an epiphany, like, oh, I need to like.
You also
try harder.
The chemistry Gosling has with Emma Stone. Like their chemistry is so genuine and natural. And I mean, they made a whole other movie, La La Land, later, and they won an Oscar for it, right? Like people saw this and they're like, wow, these two are excellent. And they just let them cook. They were like, hey, we're going to spend 12 minutes with them back at Ryan's place. And they're going to be trying to get drunk, but they're not. And then they're going to be trying to get like have sex, but they're not. And they're just going to laugh and giggle, and we're going to watch it. And it's entertaining. It's incredible.
It is. It's like really strong chemistry. You don't get that. It's just really, they have way more chemistry, I think, than Steve Carell and Julianne Moore.
Oh yeah. Well,
it's palpable. It's palpable.
And it's not that Carell doesn't have chemistry with Julianne Moore.
They do, but not as strong.
When you see Gosling and Stone, you're like, oh wow, yeah. I think Carell had more chemistry with Marissa Tomei than he did with. I mean, that was hilarious. They were just like playing off each other so well at the bar, and how honest he was being back at his place. And she's like, I want to show you off to my wife. She's like, woo! So ridiculous. So
Oh my god.
ridiculous. Yeah, Julianne Moore, a young Joey King, Marissa Tomei, Kevin Bacon, just this incredible supporting cast. I remember JD when I was like, hey, I want to do this movie. You're like, I'm not like, what is this? And you looked at this cast and you're like, what? How have I not seen this movie?
I think that was like one of the biggest surprises for me when I was like, I have not seen this. I don't know how this slipped past the radar. I have no idea.
There's other faces.
I
Yeah.
have no idea how this movie slipped past the way it did.
There's other movies.
No idea.
Like other people you can't quite place where they've been, but then Josh Groban shows up. Josh Groban, who's Emily Stone's like boring boyfriend. He is hilarious.
He is so over the top.
Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. Incredible. Such a delightful cast. Yeah, I'm pro Kevin Bacon. Give me, I think he's in the right amount. Like I wouldn't want any more of David Lindhagen. They do just the right amount of Kevin Bacon, I think, for it to work.
I'll agree with that.
But gosh, what Steve Carell's in this movie a lot. Like he's in almost every scene. And I think Gosling kind of steals it. JD, what are some of your favorite scenes? We've already talked about a couple.
Ooh, okay, definitely Photoshop.
Yeah,
that scene, the whole him explaining to Emma like what his process is, and her like being like, "Are you kidding me?" Like, I love her friend. Every scene her friend is in,
she's great.
Is, like hilarious.
Let's go back to Gosling's place. His moves like I incorporate dirty dancing into the conversation. She's like, what? No, it actually works. And then he plays the I have the time of my life. And he asks her to jump. It is so ridiculous. But then you just like want to watch it because it's great.
Yeah. Okay, so I had to like look up like what movies came out in July 2011 that caused me to miss this.
You were really like perplexed by this.
Yes. So there's like Captain America. There's the Harry Potter, the end of the Harry Potter series. There was Friends with Benefits, Horrible Bosses. There was a lot of stuff happening around this time. So I understand why I missed this the way that I did. So I'm not.
Yeah, dude, no fault to you. This is almost like an A24 independent movie, the way that it like touches on some of these topics and how it skirts around all of this stuff. Like we gotta have a whole show about A24. Okay.
Like, that's gonna be a whole episode.
I'm down for that. Wait, are you pro A24 or against A24?
I like A24.
Yeah, I do too.
I love it.
I do too. Real quick, have you seen The Green Knight?
I haven't seen it. I saw the beginning of it, and it was like the middle of the night, and I was like, I gotta like watch this.
You can't watch in the middle of the night, bro.
Yeah, I was like, I gotta have all my faculties when I watch this movie. Like, this cannot be like a go to sleep movie. I thought it was gonna be like a go to sleep movie, and I'm like, oh no, I gotta like be awake when I watch it.
But did this give you A24 vibes?
It did. It gave me Fox Searchlight vibes.
Yeah.
And so like Little Miss Sunshine and The Way Back and The East and I really love that studio, Fox Searchlight. They make, I don't know if they still exist because of the whole Disney merger thing, but like those are like some of my favorite movies.
You loved Emma Stone's friend?
She was hilarious, dude. Like the scene where she's like, dude, why are you with this guy? And she's like, he's sweet. And she's like,
how she responds to Gosling's like pickup lines as Emma Stone's like rejecting him is so funny.
Oh my gosh. And then when he tells her, he's like, I don't know, I just got to see where my life takes me. I'm like, bro, this is Emma Stone. Like, what are you talking about?
Yeah. All right. One of my favorite scenes is the whole like Steve Carell makeover at the mall, like the mall mashup montage stuff, which is just ridiculous. Throwing like shoes over a balcony. It's like, be better than the Gap.
You could have hit someone.
Yeah. Like eating Sabaros, slapping his face. And Steve Carell's like, these are my 407s. He's like, wait, are you Steve Jobs? Do you own $1 billion Apple company? And then
He was like, what are you wearing? He's like, I like this jeans. He's like, no.
the microaggression that Steve Carell has of unvelcroing his wallet right in his face. He just keeps doing it. It's so funny. Oh my gosh.
It's like, where are your wallets at?
Yeah. So many layers. He even like complains about it like later, is like, I'm wearing like slim fit or something, and it's just so funny. Like, that's fashion today. That is fashion today. Like, that is in everything that Gosling wears in this movie, and what Carell's like, that's like fashionable now.
As I'm watching Ryan Gosling, I'm like, okay, I need to go to the store.
I know.
Like,
Ooh,
right
black
now.
and tan. Yes, I see that. Yes.
I'm like,
Yeah.
okay, let me go re-examine my entire wardrobe.
Right?
Because it's like his clothes definitely hold up.
Yes.
Like,
Yep. Carell's line, well, Gosling's offer, like, your wife will rue the day she gave up on you. We still say rue, like, we still use that like phrasing on different things. And our, like, Leslie and I today, and we just think that's really funny. That mall scene though, is just classic. As well as Gosling, as Steve Carell plays that baffling, like, mumbling, like, dad who needs to try in life to a T. Like, it's very well done. And then he's just like, would you sleep with him? He's like, oh God, like, like, why would you just ask him on that? She's like, yeah, maybe. It's like, oh my gosh. Oh man. We talked about the first 3 minutes where you see his New Balance under the table with everyone else's dress shoes. She's like, I want a divorce. He's like, what do you want to eat? I want a divorce. Babysitter walks on their son, pleasing himself, and he rolls out of the moving car. All in like the first 3 to 4 minutes of this movie.
yeah, the diving roll, like, I'm like, this. He's like, if you don't shut up, I'm going to jump out of the car. It's just, he just diving rolls right out of the car.
Yeah. Are we talking about the end kind of like convergence?
Okay, that I knew that was going to happen. I knew Hannah and Nana was the same thing. I knew that going in. I just was like, it gave me Dear Evan Hansen vibes. I don't know if you've seen that movie or not. It's like a musical.
Yeah, I haven't.
Where this kid like pretends to be friends with this kid who ends up dying, and so his family is like, they want to know, like, you know, about their son from his friend, and you know there's going to be that moment where, you know, things come to a head and the reveal comes out that they weren't actually friends, and so like I knew that there was going to be that moment where things had to be revealed. Now Marissa Tomei and the teacher totally caught me off guard.
Yeah.
Even though she said she was a teacher, like
Right.
at the bar, when they show up at parent teacher night, and I'm like, I'm rooting for them at this point.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh my gosh, they're still in love. Like, they're gonna like leave this parent teacher conference thing. They're gonna get some coffee. They're gonna talk about it. And the door opens. What's her name? Like Miss Flaggerty or something like
like that. Yeah.
When she shows up, I'm like, oh my gosh. And then I'm thinking, okay, is she going to play along or is she going to flip out? And then she proceeds to flip out.
So mad. She does that so well. Like, also a little crazy mad. Like, oh my gosh, what is she going to do, mad? And it is just so uncomfortable. And I think that's why the ending caught us by surprise, because that was the twist.
And okay, yes. If I didn't know about the Hannah banana, I would have been like super blown away.
Yeah. By
the second reveal. Even though I knew it was coming, I was still kind of like, oh my gosh, like, that's Nana.
Yeah. Oh my
god. But then like Kevin Bacon showing up, like, I'm trying to remember, like, why was he even there?
Because she forgot a sweater at his place. And he was just like swinging by to drop it off. Which, okay, just find a way to get him there for this to happen. But everything else kind of like checks out. Like you have like the dad of the babysitter who also their friend where like his wife makes him pick to like, we have to pick. He like breaks up with him at the bar, like sad Steve Carell, right? He's like,
here's some cologne.
Yeah, another vodka cranberry, please. And the waiter like makes fun of him.
I like when he's like at the bar or when he's at a table, he looks at the bar and he sees that guy who's like sipping out of the straw.
Yeah. The full circle moment when someone else is.
Yeah.
I looked up his credited as Sad Sack. That's his credited name. It's just Sad Sack. He doesn't have a name. It's just Sad Sack, the guy who plays that part.
And he's just drinking out of the straw.
Yeah, it's Sad Sack. S-A-C-K, Sad Sack. That's his credited name. Yeah, so this end of movie converges with this like second reveal where Steve Carell and Julianne Moore's daughter is Emma Stone, who has been dating Ryan Gosling, which Ryan Gosling has been mentoring Steve Carell in how to like rediscover his manhood and sleep with all these girls. And so all of a sudden Steve Carell's like, what? No, you're not good enough. You're a scum. Like Emma's my daughter. And then as they're fighting, the dad of the babysitter, like his ex-friend, like thinks that Steve Carell is in a relationship with his like 16-year-old daughter, and so he tackled.
Yeah, she's like 16 or 17 or something like
which
that.
Doesn't even. That's stupid.
Okay. So the stupid part was when the mom like shows him the pictures, and he like looks through every single one of them. Like,
oh my gosh,
how many do you need to look at before you realize that this is disgusting?
Yeah, you don't need to show proof that happened. Just.
Like,
well, and to make matters worse, she gets the pictures back and gives them to Steve Carell's son. How does she get the
pictures?
Why?
Oh my gosh!
They're awful parents.
They're in the same envelope and everything.
They're awful parents.
Here you go.
Awful parents. Awful parents.
I will say, like Steve Carell, like going over in the middle of the night and like aerating the lawn and like clipping the hedges. He is doing everything he can to make sure that she doesn't call a guy over to like cut the yard or like do anything.
Which I think makes that teacher reveal so sad, because up until like there was a moment where Julianne Moore's character calls Steve Carell just to like hear his voice and ask a question, not even looking at a pilot light in the furnace, just to like, hey, like I just, and you kind of like, oh man, like there is something there. And the son of in the movie like is believing in this love because he loves the babysitter. It's all like this interwoven.
Is weirdo times 7 from the very beginning. I knew he was going to be trouble.
Yeah. Well, as weird as he is, their youngest daughter is the freaking weirdest. You kidding me? What is she on, dude? Like just out of control psycho. Joey King, almost, I mean, I don't want to say ruins her career because she's an up and coming actor. She's insane in this movie. And you're just like, whoa, what are you doing? What movie are you in? I can't even begin to say what she's like watching a bunny cartoon adorned like a Backstreet Boy dance. Like, I don't even know what she's doing. She looks 12, but she's playing like she's 6. Oh my gosh.
Yeah. I love like the banter though between Steve and Julianne when they talk about their kids. They're like, yeah, I can't stand him. Like he's like a weirdo. Like,
yeah.
Like, what's wrong with that kid? Like,
I think sometimes like kid actors can really mess with the movie's dynamic. I don't think as weird and as crazy as I don't think they mess with the movie's dynamic though. Like I think somehow it fits.
You know, okay, another one of the parts that really like had me cracking up was when he goes to work and they're like, Cal, what's wrong?
Yes.
He's like, I'm getting a divorce. He's like, oh, we thought it was cancer.
Yeah.
Guys, it's not cancer.
Yeah, I have that here too. Steve at the office, he's crying in the bathroom. Like, hey, we heard you were crying in the bathroom. We thought it was cancer. Thank God it's divorce, tells the whole office. They clap and cheer.
He's like, guys, it's not cancer. It's okay. It's just divorce.
Okay, now I got to go pick out furniture. See ya. And he leaves.
Oh my god!
Everyone's so happy for him. He's like miserable. He's trying to play along. He's the delivery of that line is what makes Steve Carell great. because he's trying to be like play along with them that he's excited, but then you can tell he's just like dreading every single thing that's going on. Oh my gosh. I love the theme of this movie. Your first love is worth fighting for always, not whenever you're trying to just first woo them, but always your first love is worth fighting for, even in the middle of whether it's a relationship, a marriage, or a separation. Your first love is worth fighting for always. And I think that genuine message, JD, plays through with all those genuine characters.
Yes, for sure. I mean, I think the underlying message of this movie was like spot on.
Yeah.
I do think there were some parts that were completely unnecessary. Steve Carell passing out on Ryan Gosling's crotch.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
What the heck was that? Like,
they add like a skin flap clap, which is like, I don't even know how to like, that's going to sound really weird, audio version podcast, but yeah, they add like that. Like, why would you do that? But I think that plays to his confidence. And I don't even know why Steve Carell would pass out like that, but they're in like this like sauna locker room and Steve and yeah. It's just ridiculous. It's crazy.
It's unnecessary.
Yeah.
It is crazy. You know what? You're right. It fits right in.
Yeah. So question, do Steve Carell and Julianne Moore, do they end up back together?
Yes.
I think so too.
They do. I mean, the ending scene with the graduation speech, I thought that was a little much.
Yes.
Like,
yeah.
He like him like taking over like the 8th grade graduation is like, okay, my son is a romantic. He believes in love. I'm like, okay, dude, this is not the time and place for you to have like your grand gesture moment. And then Marissa told me like flipping him off. Like, he's
yes, that's so funny. Yeah. All right. Any other final thoughts before we get to the grades, JD?
Oh gosh, this movie. When she's like asking him like, do you want me to back out because you have trouble doing this?
Yes.
with the you. But I totally expect him to like hit a brush or like a hedge or like a brick wall or something.
Yeah.
I think they would have made that so much better if they had done that. But.
Yeah. Would you watch it again?
It's gonna be a while before I watch this again.
Yeah.
But it was funny. I like it. Like you said, it's really quotable. It's funny. I like Emma Stone. I like Ryan Gosling.
Yeah. It's
just like those certain things that just did not hold up well.
Yeah. Yeah. All right. Well, let's take a quick break here in the Fanfare podcast. We come back. Crazy Stupid Love is going to school. We're going to give it some grades. JD Hyman, Chase Smith. We'll be right back.
Hey, this is JD from the Hyman Podcast, a place to have hard conversations revolving around the overall human experience. We tackle topics such as racism, the American justice system, and even headlining news such as the Alex Murdaugh saga. This season, we're going to continue to tackle more hard-hitting topics, and I'm excited to take you on that journey. The Hyman Podcast is available on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you listen to your podcasts. The Hyman Podcast is produced in conjunction with the Hyman brand and is part of the Press Play Podcast Network.
What's up, everyone? Chase Smith here, host of the Chase Smith Podcast, and my podcast reflects who I am. My hobbies, my interests, my passions, my curiosities, my careers, my questions, and my family. I'll spend time talking about all types of sports, movies, TV shows, trending news stories, and other cultural events, and even faith. This is who I am, and I hope I can get to know you as well. Join me on the Chase Smith Podcast, and let's have some thought-provoking conversations, only on the Press Play Podcast Network.
Welcome, everyone, to Podcast 616, the official podcast of Earth 616. I am your host, Damon Royster, and I am inviting you to listen and subscribe to this Marvel Cinematic Universe podcast. On Podcast 616, we gather some of today's greatest comedians, writers, and actors to dive deep into all things Marvel, like comic book history and lore, all the interconnected superhero storylines, and of course, who's hot and who's not in the MCU. Honestly, why aren't you listening right now? You have the power to listen to Podcast 616. And as we always say, with great power comes even greater responsibility. Listen and subscribe to Podcast 616 wherever you get your podcasts.
Hello, Brooks here with the Books with Brooks monthly book club podcast. Here's how Books with Brooks works. We read one book a month, and then we talk about it. Classics like Stephen King's The Shining, debut novels like We Are the Brennans by Tracy Lang, and tons of other compelling, life-changing stories, one book and 1 month at a time. So come read along with us, and then listen in.
Hey everyone, this is Don Mike Mendoza, the host of Producing While Asian. Join us in Season 2 for more conversations with actors, artists, producers, and more from Broadway, Hollywood, and beyond, every other Wednesday on the Press Play Podcast Network.
We are excited to announce that we are joining the Press Play Podcast Network. The Krypton Report podcast is dedicated to all things Superman, Supergirl, and the planet Krypton. We discuss movies, TV, game, comics, and all things DC.
So join me, Tyler, with my co-host James and Jania.
So join us as we explore DC's multiverse.
Look for Krypton Report on all social media platforms.
All right, we are back. JD Hyman, Chase Smith, Crazy Super Love here on the Fanfare Podcast. It's time to go over some grades. JD,
Here we go.
The grades. Here we go. Acting, the performance of the main character and supporting. JD, start us off, man.
A+.
Yes, well, we got to figure out how to grade pluses and minuses because I think that
We do.
that matters.
I think at some point we gotta like factor that in.
Yeah. Yeah. You know, I'm I don't. It's an A for me. I'm gonna give it an A. I want to be stingy with my pluses, because like the kids, I just can't go there with the kids. The kids, like, I can't go A+ because of the kids. But everyone else is like A++. So I'm gonna go A on acting and the main characters and the support. I'm gonna go A.
I can see how the kids took away your pluses.
Yeah,
especially the little girl. Like
Yeah.
she totally like out of control.
Yeah. All right, star power. This is off name recognition and previous work. I'm going to go A.
A for sure. I mean, the A.
It's hard not
Without
to.
a doubt.
This whole cast, and especially, well, we
Any one of these people could have like held this movie down.
Yeah. We can't take into consideration what went after this movie. So all of Gosling's career, most of Emma Stone's career can't be factored in. But at the time, those were kind of like, oh yeah, I'll go see what they're like. So we're just pretty much, but they were still recognizable names.
Okay, but wasn't Easy A before this? I think Emma Stone had some stuff under her belt before this.
I have it here. Emma Stone, yeah, Superbad 2007. She as her movie debuts. Easy A 2010. Easy A's bro. I'll do Easy A fanfare right now. I'll do Easy A right now.
Dude, I literally to this day will always say, "Oh, rats!"
Yeah. And so this is another reason why I went to see this movie because of Emma Stone and Easy A. We loved Easy A.
Easy A was a great movie.
Great movie. Gosh, we might have to do an Emma Stone month. I don't know, man. Easy A is fantastic. It kind of fits this like Easy A, Crazy Stupid Love, like that era. Well, this also has an Easy A reference with the Scarlet Letter.
Yes, it does.
Yeah.
I wonder if that was on purpose.
Yeah. All right. So we both give it an A for star power.
Yeah.
All right. Cinematography, storytelling without words. You go first. You're first this time.
I'm gonna go see. I'm not gonna say there was anything that like blew me away, like cinematography wise. I don't know if this is one of those situations where if you took away the sound, could you still follow the story? I think there was like supposed to be an A story and a B story, and I think there were two A stories. And so I don't know if it would, well, there was like an A story, a B story, and a C story if you're thinking about like that kid and the babysitter. You know, that's kind of like a story all of its own.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I think this would have been like too hard to follow. Like if there was like no sound. I don't think the cinematography. It was a comedy. I don't think it was meant to like blow you away in that fashion. So
Yeah.
I'm gonna go C on this one.
I'm gonna go B plus because I think you could, if you took away the audio of this movie, just and Steve Carell's confidence and how he looks, the way that Ryan Gosling walks over and takes people home, and like Julianne Moore and Kevin, like I think there's enough there for this to be like told just without words. I think the actors do a good job of encapsulating the emotions of where they're at. So like, okay, go with me to that first reveal with the teacher scene, JD.
Okay, I'm thinking there's like 2 pages. If they would have added 2 more pages onto this film, it would have been insane, and you could not have followed it. I think there was room to cut out of this movie.
I would agree.
That first reveal with the teacher, what are your thoughts on that?
Well, so that's what I was going to use for cinematography. You have them flirting, they're laughing, they're looking at each other, they're like having the sweet moment, and I'm just going without words. I'm using these images in my brain. They go in there, Steve Carell's uncomfortable, the teacher's like getting a little upset, Julianne Moore's like, I don't know what's going on. And then they go out, it starts raining, right? It's like literally like the stereotype, it's raining, he's in front of everyone's looking at him, and yeah, I think that is huge. It's Steve Carell realizing that the way he was living was, it not only did he realize before then that he still loved his wife and wanted to like be with her, but also that, oh man, like I've made a terrible mistake and this is like awful.
But
I don't feel better about myself.
But did he make a mistake?
That's well, I think he does, because he gave up. He didn't. He stopped trying completely. He went with other people.
I don't think he was at fault.
I'm not saying he was at fault.
He chose the wrong. He shouldn't. I mean, he definitely was right in like not calling her, because she was totally bad.
Yeah,
crap crazy, but.
Yeah, no, I don't think he was at fault, but I think he realized that, oh man, like I should not have been chasing the 9 or however women he was sleeping with. I should have put all the energy back into my wife.
I think he realized what he was trying to do. I think he realized he was trying to get that back, and then it took him, what did he say, 9 or 10 women he'd been with. It took him that many women to realize what he was actually looking for. He was just trying to recapture what he had before.
Yeah.
It just took him a minute to get there.
Yeah. So I'm going to give that a B plus. I'm going to give a C to the audio and sound design. I don't really think nothing really stands out. Even like the head flop to Gosling Schlong, that like just completely unnecessary kind of sound. That's what it sounded like. I'm going to give it a C. Nothing really sticks out to me that is like, whoa, that's memorable. I think probably one of the weakest links.
I'm going to go C too. C for sure. I mean, because that slap on surround sound was that was deafening.
Yeah.
Because at first I was like, what the crap is this scene? And then like I was like, whoa. That was unnecessary.
That is costume design.
A.
Yeah. We just talked about fashion. I think I give it an A too.
Yeah.
It is an important part of the story. Gosling looks super cool. Steve Carell looks great whenever he transforms. Like, he looks good.
Yeah. Because before he's like typical, like, you know, suburban dad,
Hardcore.
You know, his New Balance jeans that don't fit. Like, he played that perfectly.
Dad bod and like dad fashion.
Yeah.
He missed the boat. He was 10 years too late. Too early.
but, but like Ryan Gosling's clothes and like the outfit transformation that Steve Carell did, it made me want to go buy clothes.
Yeah.
And that's when I realized, I was like, this movie, yeah,
Same.
for sure.
Same. And then I realized, I'm not photoshopped and I can't pull off that. Like,
Yeah,
okay.
I was like, yeah, I could buy that suit, but there's no way in the world I'm gonna like that.
Plus, I'm not going to drop $3,000 in credit line just with all types of
Yeah,
clothes.
I'm like on my phone looking at Express. I was like, yeah, I can't afford any of this.
Right.
Look.
All right, you both give it an A in costume design. Screenwriting.
I'm gonna go A. I'm gonna go A, and I'm gonna tell you why. Because there was so much happening in this movie, and you were able to follow the story from start to finish. It's a complete arc, and with the A storyline and the AA storyline and the B storyline and all of it mashing together at the end, I'm giving it an A.
You're right, but I feel like it's hard. It's hard because can you penalize people for not having foresight of inappropriateness then? Like they should have known that wasn't okay then. Some of the things that they talk, I don't know.
I think they're following those typical tropes that you see in those types of comedic situations, and they're just trying to capitalize on it. And you are right for sure, because this is around the time you have what is her name? I want to say Hillary Duff, doing the whole saying that's gay isn't cool, kind of making those like, they were kind of dumb infomercials, but still.
You almost said they were commercials.
They were just kind of stupid, but like, I think there were better ways to do that instead of like the way they like did those little PSAs. But I think in this movie, they're just kind of following those typical comedic tropes and those typical stereotypical male.
Yeah.
I think they were just exaggerating it, for the sake of the film. I wouldn't say that the people who wrote this movie are like womanizers. I mean,
okay.
No, I wouldn't say that. I mean, it definitely didn't hold up for sure.
I had to
but it was not 16 Candles. Like have you seen 16 Candles?
Not in a long time.
Okay.
I couldn't even.
I'm just going to say
honest, the plot
this
anymore.
movie is child's play.
Whew.
Compared to 16 Candles.
Well, 2011. I mean, it's not like that was super long ago. So this is truly right at the cusp of what.
It was at the cusp. It was definitely at the cusp, and you will never see this again.
No.
Like you will never see anything like this again.
No. Yeah, I had to see. I changed it to a B because you made a lot of good points, and it did take a lot of expertise to have those storylines do what you. It was impressive, entertaining, although troublesome. I give it a B. Have you seen Tar?
Who?
The movie Tar. Tar is with Cate Blanchett. She's like this composer who.
No, I haven't seen this.
It's super long, but it poses an interesting question. How do you relate with art from a troubled artist or from a controversial artist or from someone who quote unquote canceled artist? Like, what do you do with that art? If that art is masterful, if that art is incredible, if that art is like legendary, what do you do about that art? If the artist is canceled, essentially it wrestles that topic. And it's fascinating.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Interesting.
It's a movie snobs movie. I thought about it.
Really? Because I haven't seen it.
I thought about it a lot after we watched it. It doesn't, it's an interesting movie. Yeah. Tar, but it wrestles with this question. So I gave it a B. Directing. I'm going to go B here as well.
I'm going to go B. Yeah, I'm going to go B on directing. I think there could have been some better direction in some places.
Mm-hmm.
Because like at the end of this, I had notes for the director. Like,
yeah, you talked about trimming some fat a little bit, but just allowing the people to put the people in the best scenes and chances for them to shine. I think is part of a director's, job is to how can we take what's on the script to the screen, and yeah, it's very, very entertaining.
Yes, just there were some points where there could have been some fat trimmage and just some better direction overall. I mean, I think that scene towards the end when the dad is just like completely ignoring the daughter when she is very blatantly saying, he did not solicit these photos from me. Like, I did this on my own. His like portrayal is just over the top and very cartoony.
Yeah.
In my opinion. So.
Yep. Movie poster, I give a D, as in dog, a D. It is.
I gave it an F. When I looked at the movie poster, I'm like, because again, like I said, I hadn't seen this, and you were like ranting and raving about this movie, and I look at the poster, and I'm like, is this about strippers? Like,
yeah, it is.
What?
It's just Marissa Tomei's leg, and Steve Carell's eyes are like, whoo, like he's never seen anyone's ever been with anyone before. Which, by the way, when he tells her he's only been with one person and she like gets all giddy, like that's another very funny scene. Like their whole romp is just very, very funny. Well, hey, we're gonna take a break, do some math here. When we come back, we'll give you the GPA scores for Crazy Stupid Love. All right. I had 1D, 1C, 3 B's, and 3 A's. JD, you had 1 F, 2 C's, 1 B, and 4 A's. All right, how do we do this again?
D is 1 point.
No, B is 3. A is 4.
I said D is 1 point.
Yes. C is 2. 3. So I have 22. You had F is 0.
Correct.
C is 2. 4. 7. Okay. I have a total of 22. You have a total of 23.
Yikes.
So where's my calculator? So it's 22 divided by 32, right?
Yes.
That doesn't work. 22 divided by 32. 0.68.
You have 32?
No, I had 22.
And what did I have?
23.
Okay. Now divide that by 8.
Divide 23 by 8?
Yeah.
Oh, that's how we do it? Oh, because that's the average. Okay, here we go. We got the grades all finalized. We're getting better at this, JD. We're getting it down. So here we go. I gave the movie 1D, 1C, 3 B's, and 3 A's for a total GPA of 2.75. JD gave Crazy Stupid Love 1 F, 2 C's, 1 B, and 4 A's for a GPA of 2.875. I think that checks out.
It does. It does. It is very. It earned every grade that it got.
Yeah, what's it, like a C? It's just a firm, solid C.
Yeah, I mean nobody's taking summer school,
Almost a B.
but they're also no valedictorians here, no salutatorians.
Yeah. Right. It's
I'm,
flirting
I
with
mean,
the BC line.
yeah, I mean, I'm not going to see any scholarships out of this, but and I definitely know why there were 22 nominations and Teen Choice Awards.
Yeah. Yeah. So this movie gets a C. A troubled, confusing, flawed, but beautiful C.
Yeah.
Well, that does it for this episode of Crazy Stupid Love of the Fanfare Podcast. Thank you all so much for downloading and listening. Shouts to the Press Play Podcast Network for making this possible. Make sure to follow us on Twitter at both of our handles. We don't have one for this show. Follow Chase at the Chase Smith and at Hyman Podcast. JD Hyman. Brought to you by Bargain Bachelors. Check them out. YouTube.
Bargain Bachelors. Check us out.
We are really excited about what we have in store for the Fanfare. JD, tell us what's coming up next.
Next, we are going back to the 80s with John Hughes, me and a really good friend of mine, Kelly Johnson. We are both like 80s movies fans, and so we are going to dive into the world of John Hughes and the Core Four with Breakfast Club, Pretty in Pink, 16 Candles, and the infallible Ferris Bueller Days Off. So we are pumped to get that episode out, and then Halloween is right around the corner.
That's right.
And I'm really excited about October.
We are doing a horror movie every week of the month, gearing up just to relish. And we might do it for Christmas because that would be a lot of fun too.
It sure would.
We might just decide that right now.
I think that just happened.
I think we just did. All right. This has been great. The Fanfare. Crazy Stupid Love. It's done. JD, good work, man. I'll talk to you soon.
All right. See you guys.
Peace.